Now we're recording. So the pitch of a note is measured in hertz, and you can read about that in the physics of that, but it's actually the number of vibrations per second. So when we talk about a bagpipe pitch, you might have heard of like, oh, well, I'm at 480 or 478. Or if you're in concert A, like on a piano, the A is going to be 440. Those numbers all refer to hertz, which are vibrations per second. Don't really need to know much more about that. When you're tuning on your own, because bagpipes are often played in different climate conditions, temperatures, inside, outside, cold, hot, raining, sunny, all that stuff, all those environmental conditions affect the pitch of your instrument. You'll typically be higher pitched on a hot day, lower pitched on a cold day. So what that means is that things are moving around a lot, but also the tradition in bagpiping is that we can be flexible on the pitch. So if I get tuned up here in my home studio, after warming up a while, I might be at 482. If I go outside and it's cooler, it's going to drop to 478, and that's okay. So when you're playing on your own, really what you're trying to do is get your bagpipe in tune, but the exact pitch doesn't matter. Does that make sense? If you are playing with a pipe band, the exact pitch matters because you want to get everybody in tune together, which means everybody's bagpipe is tuned to the exact same number. So that number might change from day to day, but you get your pipe major, whoever's leading the tuning team, and you say, okay, we are at 482 today. Well, that's until 20 minutes later when we're playing in the sun, and then we're at 485. But it's a fixed pitch. That fixed pitch can move around, but you want to know what that number is. Okay, so we'll get into that. Bagpipers have been tuning their pipes by ear for forever. That has changed in the last few decades with the development of electronic tuners, basically. And now those tuners have gone away, these standalone gadgets, and now we've moved mostly to tuner apps. And there's some really, really great tuner apps. And we're going to look at my favorite one, which is the Braw Bagpipe Tuner. And we'll talk about some of the advantages of that. Okay, so now this is fun. Instead of playing for you live, I recorded a bunch of videos of me going through different tuning skills to demonstrate. And let's take a look at some of those right now. So here we go. So the basic idea of drone tuning, or any kind of musical sound where you have an air column, is that the longer whatever it is that's making your musical sound, the longer it is, the lower it's going to be. So just think about a fiddle, a little violin, versus a cello versus a stand-up bass. The bigger it is, the lower the pitch it is. Look at your drones. The bass drone is the longer drone. It's the lower pitch drone. It's an octave lower than your tenor drones. So when we're tuning the drones, what we're doing is we are sliding the drone up to lengthen it, or we're sliding the drone top down to shorten it, and then shortening it raises the pitch. Shorter is higher, shorter is sharper, longer is lower, longer is flatter. So the first thing you want to be able to do is you want to be able to comfortably and confidently move your drones up and down. So that might be an adjustment issue. That might be a flexibility issue, getting used to reaching over there, making sure that things are hemped up properly. Let's take a look at what that might look like here. Okay. Oh, is that working? Okay, you can see that now. So here we are. I'm just going to show you. Can you hear that okay? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear the pipes. Great. Okay, a lot of nodding. Excellent. So this is me doing a single drone. I showed my basic tenor. Just have the one outside tenor going. It goes up. Goes up some more. Goes down. So at this point, we're not tuning anything. We're just getting we're practicing moving it up and down. So you want to be able to do that comfortably, move it up, move it down. If it's tight or if it's too loose, if it slides too easily, you have a hemping issue, a maintenance issue. But you want to be able to do that because before you hear anything in the tuning process, you need to be able to comfortably slide those things up and down. Okay. Okay. Now the next thing, now this came up in the questionnaire. Some people have some questions about this. This is one of the most important skills that you need to be able to have to tune your bagpipes, which is you need to be able to match your bass drone to your outside tenor. So that's what I'm going to do next here. So to hear there's a little bit of a wah, wah, wah sound. That's what you're looking for. So in terms of the physics of what's happening there, is that you have two sound waves. When they're in tune, these two sound waves line up perfectly and it sounds like one sound. But when the sound waves are out of sync, they build up and they cancel out. So you get this wah, wah sound. The more out of tune they are, the faster and louder that wah, 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 wah. So that's what you're listening for. You don't necessarily know if it's sharp or flat, but you can tell if it's out of tune and how much out of tune it is. So then you just start moving it in a direction. You just guess, I'm going to move it up. Oh, it's getting better. Keep going. And at a certain point, it's going to, those beats will disappear and then it's going to sound good. And then you know it's in tune. Now, if you're a beginner piper, the challenge you're going to have, in addition to hearing and moving the drone to get it in tune, is a blowing issue. So you're going to have a challenge of being able to blow your pipes steady. So when I have a brand new student who gets on the bagpipes and they say, great, I got my pipes, now how do I tune them? It's like, okay, I can show you. But the limiting factor in your ability to tune your bagpipes is your ability to keep a steady pressure. So, you know, there's some parable about building a house on solid foundation versus on unstable ground or sand. Same thing here. If your blowing pressure is moving around, it's really hard to get those drones in tune or the chanter in tune. Imagine trying with a really fine-tipped pen and trying to do a very detailed drawing and someone shaking the paper around. It's just going to be blurry. So do the best you can. But in order to have a really, really precisely tuned bagpipe, you're going to need to make sure your blowing is stable so you have that foundation. Okay, now I'm going to bring in the middle tenor. So wherever my outside tenor was, I matched the bass, and the final thing is to bring in the middle tenor, and you'll be able to hear these beats here pretty clearly and hear them disappear as I bring it into tune. Now shut it off because I thought I got it in tune, but I was hearing something. So I'm going to go back and double check that my bass was perfect. Sometimes if you're struggling with that middle tenor, it's because the bass wasn't quite right. And that's what I redid here. I'll bring it back in. Good. So that's it. So this is something that you got to practice. You got to practice tuning the bass to match it to your outside tenor. That's one of the tricky skills. And then you got to practice bringing in that middle tenor and then dialing that in. It's really hard to hear when you have multiple things that are out of tune. So we try to reduce them, shut off that middle tenor, just focus on getting the bass in tune with the outside, and then bring in the middle tenor once those two are in tune. Okay, now the definition of in tune, to go back to the beginning here, is we have 3 drones and we need to get them tuned to the exact same pitch and also to the low A. The low A is the master note. It defines everything else. And we could get into the mathematics here, but whatever pitch that low A is, that determines what the tenors are going to be. It determines what the bass is going to be, and it determines every single note on the chanter. It's all based on that low A. The low A is the master note. So next we're going to go through and I'm going to show you how to tune your drones to your low A by ear, starting with one drone. So here we go. Now, here's what I'm going to do, and I want you to watch me while I do it. You do not have 3 arms. At least I've never met a bagpiper who has 3 arms. So, pretty confident in that. So what that means is that you can't move a drone and play low A at the same time. You can't do it. Now, if someone else is tuning your drones, you just play low A, and they come back there and they move that drone until it matches your low A. Since you can't play low A and move a drone at the same time, what you need to do is play low A and listen. And if you're lucky, you're like, wow, that's perfectly in tune, moving on. But that rarely happens. So you play low A and you're going to listen, and you're going to try to hear if you hear those beats. And depending on how loud and fast those beats are, that's going to give you a clue for how far out of tune it is. Now, it is very hard to play low A and hear a drone and go, oh, that drone is sharp or that drone is flat. But what you can hear is that it's out of tune. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to listen to low A, you're going to make a guess, and you're going to go, I think that drone needs to go up. And then you're going to reach up. And now, once your hand comes off, then you play high A, you move that drone up, boop. You're not tuning it, you're moving it based on your guess. And then you're going to go back to low A, and you're going to listen again, and you need to compare what it sounds like now compared to where it was before. So you have a memory of what it sounded like before, and you compare and you go, wow, that is so much better. Now I'm going to do it again. Go to high A, I'm going to move it up again, and I'm going to check low A, and I'm going to go, it's even better. I can't believe it. And you're going to keep doing that process, and then at some point it's going to sound worse, and then you know you've gone too far. My younger students do not remember the old analog radios, but if you remember those, you try to find the station, you're like, oh, it's coming in. You don't stop. You keep going. You keep going. Now it's perfect. And then you keep going a little bit further, and now it's slightly out, and then you dial it back. That's what you do with the drone. You listen to low A, you make a guess, you move it in a direction, you repeat that process until you're like, I think it's perfect, but it could be even better. And then at some point you're like, nope. And then you come back. Then you're there. So that's what I'm going to do here with one drone. Ooh, that's really bad now. That's the wrong way. Good. So I kept going. It was pretty good. And then it got worse. And then I came back. Don't get too fixated on trying to figure out, is it sharp or flat? Just start moving it and it'll be really obvious. Just move, move, move. It's better, it's better, it's better, it's better, it's worse. And sometimes you go, the very first time you start, you're like, oh, I think my drone needs to go up. And it's up. And then it's like, whoa, that was worse. Then you just bring it down the other way. No problem. I will tell you, I've hung around a lot of good pipers. I played in a super famous pipe band where we won the worlds and like the top. People make mistakes all the time, and it's no big deal. You're like, oh, I think you're F sharp. Put some tape on it. Okay, now it's way worse. It must have been flat. Go back. It's no problem. Watch someone tuning a guitar. They're turning those pegs, and then they turn them back, and they turn them the other way. You're just like, you're trialing and erroring it, and it gets faster and better. So if you're thinking, I can't tell if that drone needs to go up or down, doesn't matter. I can't either. You just move it and you go, it's better or worse, and then you make a U-turn or you keep going. Okay. So that is the one drone to the low A. Now I'm going to repeat that process that I did earlier when I was all corked up. I'm going to match the bass. Now, this is a big question here, and this is a challenge. I'm playing high A, but I am not tuning my bass drone to high A. I'm tuning my bass drone to my outside tenor drone. Okay. This is a challenge when you first start doing this, because you have this high A going, ah, it's like right there, it's making all this sound, and you are ignoring it. You are practicing ignoring, just like in a noisy room, a noisy party, or a busy place. You can have a conversation with one person. You have to look at them. Sometimes reading the lips helps a little bit, but you can pick out that sound amongst a lot of other sounds if you pay attention to it. So what you're doing here is you are paying attention to the bass drone sound and how it changes as you move it. Again, don't worry about, is it sharp or flat? Just start moving it and you'll hear it get better or worse, and keep going until you find the spot where it sounds the best. Ignoring the high A, you never tune to high A, you tune while playing high A, which is different. Does that make sense? The low A is the master note. We tuned the outside drone, tenor drone, to the low A. Now we are going to tune the bass drone to the outside drone. People will ask, why do you play high A? Couldn't you play D? Couldn't you play E? Could you play F? You could play all those other notes. I love high A because high A is the most sensitive note to pressure. It has a quality that no other note has, which is, you know, when you underblow your high A, it kind of gets that, you can get that scratchy sound. We call that a crowy high A. The most beautiful bagpipe sounds in the world, they get this magical sort of twinkly high A. Think about Callum Beaumont or Roddy McLeod. The Roddy McLeod high A is like so famous, right? And he just gets this beautiful, sparkly, twinkly sound on the high A. No other note has that change in quality of the tone, and the change of quality comes from the pressure. So what I love about the high A is that when you're blowing it at the right pressure, you know it. And if you're overblowing or underblowing, it's an auditory signal that your pressure is off. So in a way, it's an auditory bagpipe gauge. It's going to help you get dialed in. You know how your high A is supposed to sound. On the other notes, they're a little more accommodating, so you can be over or underblowing and you don't necessarily know it. It's easier, maybe, because you don't get that feedback, but it's also masking the fact that you're moving around on your pressure. I almost went to low A there. I dropped my hand, and then there's no point in playing low A unless that bass drone is perfectly in tune. Do not leave the drone until that bass is in tune. Playing low A won't help you at this point. If that bass drone is out of tune, you got to go up and move it to get it in tune with the outside tenor. You're not tuning it to the low A. So pretty good there. Finally, now we're going to pop in the middle tenor and drop it in. This should be pretty quick and easy to do. Cool. There we go. This is a one drone method. If you're getting started at tuning your bagpipes by ear, this is what I recommend. Your goal is to get to the next step, which is the two drone method. And this is by far the most common method used by pipers. We skip the step of shutting off two drones and tuning the tenor. We start with two drones going, shut off the middle, match the bass to the outside, wherever it is. So now you have two drones that are in tune with each other. And then you go to low A and you do your process of listening and guessing. But instead of just moving the one drone up or down until you find the low A, you have to move two drones together. So they go together. Move the outside tenor, match the bass, check your low A. Move the outside tenor, match the bass, check your low A. Move the outside tenor, match the bass, check your low A. You might do that 12 times. You might do it 20 times. And it doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. That's just the way to do it. You can find videos of top pipers on YouTube tuning up in front of the judge. And that's what they're doing. Up, check the low A. Up, check the low A. Oops, down, check the low A. Perfect. Bring in the middle tenor, zoom, dial it in, then they go. So that's what's going to happen here next. This is the two drone method. And, well, I think at this point on the video, I'm going to put my pipes, I'm moving them out of tune. And then here we go. Yeah, just moving them around randomly. There we go. Not in tune on the low A. The drones are in tune with each other. The two, not in tune with the low A. So I made a guess and thought, I think they need to come down. So now I'm going to move the outside tenor down. Match the bass. Not quite, but more. Match the bass. Better, but not quite yet. One more time. Bring it down. Match the bass. Yeah. So basically, I'm just doing this process of moving those drones down, moving the tenor down, matching it, playing the low A. Doing that process over and over until I find like, oh, it's perfect. Then I went a little bit further. Then I went too far. Then I backed it off. Just moving, matching, moving, back and forth and back. Just do that cycle over and over. That's why it's so important that you get fast at matching your bass drone, because you have to do that a lot. That's cool. So right there, the bass and outside tenor are tuned together and they're matched to the low A. And the final thing is I bring in that middle tenor, and you can really hear those beats. And listen as I bring it into tune, you hear those beats get slower and slower, and then it's like that middle drone just melts into the other two. And then instead of all this movement slows, and then stillness. That's what you want. Boom. So that's it. That's if you want to tune your drones by ear, that's the method. The two drone method, shut off the middle, match and then get the two, and then go on. The reason you don't want to shut off your bass drone is that you want to get to the point where you can tune without shutting off your bass drone, is that the bass drone takes a lot of air compared to the other two. And when you shut off the bass and a middle tenor, now you're really messing with how your pipes feel. And it's hard to be really perfect on that blowing pressure. So that's what we do. it's also like a stylistic thing. Any like decent piper, you wouldn't go out in front of people and shut off your bass drone. It's too weird sounding. And there was a famous piper who was a judge, and he was judging someone, and when they're back in the old cane drone reed days, and the piper, their bass drone got wet and shut off, and they finished their performance. And at the end, the judge said this kind of cheeky thing to him. He said, "When your bass drone stops, so do you." And it's a bit harsh, but at the higher level, if you have a bass drone, if you have any drone shut off in a competition, you're basically disqualified anyway. So I would say sort of crosses the line over to being disrespectful to the venue at that high level to keep going. Anyway, that's your goal, is to be able to get to the 2 drone method, starting with the 2, getting them locked with your low A, bringing in your middle drone, and then you're good. Cool. All right, now I want to show you how quickly and easily you can tune your bagpipes with the tuner and a microphone. So many of you know about my InTune Mic. This is not a sales pitch, but this has been a really popular product. And one of the reasons is that it allows you to tune your bagpipes on your own with a tuner. These tuners are amazing, but the problem with the smartphone tuner is that the microphone and the screen are connected, and the microphone has to be really, really close to the top of your drone for it to tune that drone. So if you've been around a pipe band or at the Highland Games, people will be tuning the drones of a band by holding a tuner or the phone and going right up to the top of the drone. It has to be like an inch from it, tuning it, then going to the next one, and then going to the bass and moving around. And that works fine, but you can't do it on your own. Even if you had a third arm to hold it up there, you also need to have eyes on the back of your head to be able to see it back there. So what my microphone does is it just takes the sound from the very top of the drone and puts it in your phone. So what that also allows you to do, in addition to tuning really fast with accuracy on your own, is it also works in really noisy environments. I wish I would have had this back when I was competing at all the Highland Games, and you're running around trying to find a tree or a dumpster or a tent or somewhere to get a little bit of peace, so you can tune by ear. But with this, you can just tune it with all the noise going on around you, as long as that microphone is right next to the drone. So here we go. Let's find. Okay. There we go. So I got my phone hooked up. Get the mic going, get the little green light, shows that it's connected to the phone. So the first thing you need to do is you need to tell the tuner, if you're going to tune your drones with the tuner, you need to figure out what your low A is. Where we were doing that by ear, we're listening to the low A in the drone and trying to make a difference, figure out the difference to make the adjustment. With the tuner, you need to measure your low A and tell the tuner, yep, this is my low A. And then you can use that measurement of low A to get your drones tuned to that same thing. If you're playing on your own and you're doing the solo piper thing and you're not obsessed with the exact pitch, you just play and let the tuner figure out what your low A is and go, oh, I'm at 481 today, or I'm at 482, or I'm at 470, whatever. Or I got a brand new reed that's a little hard and flat and I'm at 478. Fine. If you're playing in a band, you want to figure out what this pitch is, what that number is, and just plug it in manually, right? So the band that I teach here in Seattle, we are very consistent throughout the year when we're playing indoors, 480, 482. Go outside, all bets are off. But so this is what I'm going to do first, is get a reading off my low A and calibrate the tuner. So it's attached to my Chanter. So this tuner is amazing. I did not make this tuner. Bruce Rankin from Scotland made this tuner, and it is amazing because it's just listening to all the notes and it's moving those little dots around, and it just, the little dots stay there. So you don't have to play a note. You can just play a tune and it's listening and it's saving all the little readings. So you see that yellow bar there on the bottom, that's the low A, and it's showing it as sharp. That doesn't mean my low A is sharp. It just means that my low A is sharper than the last time I used this tuner. So I'm going to get a good reading off of it. And then I'm going to say, yep, that's my low A. And it's going to set the tuner to say that in tune is that hertz, not whatever it was before. Yep, so I go to the calibrate low A. I say, yep, that's what my low A is today. Use that number. Delete everything and try again. So now I'm just going to confirm that I got it right. Yep, now it's in tune. Now I've moved the tuner to the top of my tenor drone, and this is easy. I don't have to listen to anything. I'm just going to tune that tenor drone, move it till it shows it's in tune, do the next tenor drone, do the bass, done. I have a video on my YouTube channel called How to Tune Your Bagpipes in 60 Seconds. It's a little fast. It's slightly rushed, but it does work. I want to make another video where I tune the bagpipes where I'm not even listening to it. Like I have headphones playing music or white noise or something, just to show that with the tuner and the mic, you don't have to hear anything. Just follow its lead. And then move the clip up to the bass drone. And you get the idea, all right? Okay, let's move on here. This is great, but I want to get into chanter tuning here. Great, and thanks for all the questions that are coming in here. We are going to run out of time, but we'll get through it. Okay, chanter tuning. Chanter tuning by ear is something that you can learn. It takes a lot of trial and error. And as I said earlier, even the best of the best make a lot of mistakes and you go, oh, it was sharp. Oh, no, it's actually flat. So really what you're doing is you are going to use the fact that bagpipes are, it's really obvious when they're out of tune. When a note is really out, it's really obvious. But the drones have to be in tune first. And the drones have to be perfectly in tune with the low A. So that's the first thing you need to do. If you want to tune your chanter, and we're talking doing it by ear, you need to make sure your drones are perfectly in tune and they're in tune with low A. Then the process is going to be playing tunes, playing notes up and down the scale, and listening. And this is the hardest part. It can be learned. It takes time. But really what you are listening for is that the note has that pleasing in-tune sound, or if it doesn't. Usually I start with the note that's the most out of tune. So play through a tune, play through the scale, and whatever you hear that's the most out, start there. And then again, now you're going to be guessing. You're going to go, okay, what's going on? Is it sounding sharp? Is it sounding flat? Is it an individual note that's out of tune? Or are there a whole bunch of notes that are out of tune? So the two things that we can do for chanter tuning are changing the position of the reed in the chanter reed seat. So we can actually take this reed and push it in deeper, or we can raise it out. This Infinity chanter actually has a threaded reed seat in there. So I can actually hold the reed and turn the chanter, and it actually pushes the reed down. Just like tuning drones, when we shorten a drone, we raise the pitch. When we push the reed deeper into the chanter, what we're doing is we're shortening the distance from the top of the reed to the hole, which, what does that do? If we shorten that distance, it makes the note higher pitch. Or if we raise the reed out, what we're doing is we're lengthening the distance. But then there's another thing to keep in mind, which is when you do any changes to the position of the reed, the depth in the reed seat, it's going to have the greatest effect on the high A. Because if we sync that reed a millimeter, that's proportionately has a greater effect on the high A, a little bit less effect on high G, a little bit less effect on the F. And as you go down, it has the least effect on the lowest notes. So if you sync the reed, it's going to make the high A a lot sharper and every note down a little bit less of an effect. So you will often hear people talk about this idea of balancing a chanter. And I think usually what that means, the way I would use that term would be, how's the overall scale? Like if I were to play up and down the scale or Scotland the Brave with low A's and high A's, does the high A sound close to where the low A is? Is the high A in tune? If it's really sharp, I would want to raise the reed out. If it's really flat, I would want to push it in. But the raising and the sinking of the reed in the chanter reed seat will affect most of the top hand and to a very little extent the bottom hand. If we have an individual note that is sharp, we can put tape on it, right? So you're familiar with that. So really what we're doing, so imagine this high A hole. This is a new chanter, doesn't have any tape on it, but the pitch of that note, or the pitch of any note for that matter, is going to be determined by the distance from the top of the reed to the top of that hole. Well, if that note was sharp and we wanted to make it flatter, it'd be really nice if we could just move the hole down. And that's what we're doing when we put tape on the top of the hole. We put a little piece of tape on the top of that hole, and it's not that we make the hole smaller, although it does. The effect is that we lower the top of the hole. It's as if we slide the hole down a little bit, and that works really, really great. The thing about tape, though, is that it can only be used to flatten a hole, to lower the pitch of a note, that is. You can't use it to raise the pitch of a note. So really, when we're tuning, when we're syncing that reed or we're raising that reed, our goal is that every note on that chanter will be one of two things: in tune or sharp. We don't want any flat notes, because if a note is in tune, we leave it. And if it's sharp, we add tape to it. So that's your goal. By syncing the reed or raising the reed, every note in tune or sharp, not flat. There's a whole other thing where people get into carving out their holes with Dremels and X-Acto knives, and I don't want to go there. That is a thing, but that's usually can avoid that. Okay, so let's take a look here at me doing the chanter tuning. Now this is me doing it by ear, and we'll kind of speed through this process here. Here we go. So I'm going, okay, I played a little bit of Green Hills, played a little bit of whatever. The high G sounds flat. I'm going to take a little bit of tape off that high G. Actually, I think I sunk the reed a little bit too. Yep. Push it in a little bit deeper, because I think some of the top hand notes were flat to my ear. Okay, I pushed the reed and now I have to retune the drones. because I made the whole thing a little bit sharper. You got to make sure the drones are in tune with each other and low A before you can use your ear, right? Okay, so you get the process here. This is extremely hard to do. You have to have a really good ear, and it's basically playing, hearing a note. Okay, I think that's out. Put some tape on it. Play again. Okay, take some tape off. You watch any top piper before they go on for a competition. They're just doing this and just checking and checking and checking and checking. And you can get good at it. But what I recommend is that you use the tuner, and that's what I'll show you next. I use a tuner. I'm great at tuning by ear, but I love my Braw Bagpipe Tuner. It is so fast. It never makes mistakes. It never gets confused. It never gets nervous. It doesn't get overwhelmed by noise in the environment as long as I have that microphone right up on my chanter. So I want to show you that next. Oh, I should just say, the in-tuneness of every note on the chanter, as we mentioned before, is determined by the pitch of the low A. There's actually a mathematical formula that you can do. It's that it's basically a harmonic series or close to the just intonation scale, where every note on the chanter is a low integer ratio of the exact frequency of the low A. So maybe too much information for you, but there's actually a specific pitch for every note where it's the most in tune that it possibly can be. And that's what the tuner has built into it. With your ear, it's just trial and error and trying to find that. And you can hear it through how pleasing the sound is, or how, if you hear the clashing or the blending. But with the tuner, it's just going mathematically. There's a very specific mathematical formula. If you say, this is my low A, then you can get the exact numbers of what each note should be. And that's what the tuner does. It knows what those numbers are, and it tells you if you're high or low, and then you can make the adjustments accordingly. So let's skip ahead here to the tuning process, how I would do it with the tuner. Isn't that just completely amazing? I love this tuner. You just play whatever you want, exercises, tunes. You can do the band practice. I love this. And then I can just go, okay, I see that my C's a little sharp. My D's a little sharp. My low G's a little sharp. Oh, I guess I didn't play any F's in that tune. All right, okay. Got to play something with F's. And then you just make the little adjustments. Here, I want to talk about syncing that reed. If you saw that the high A was flat and the high G was flat and the F was flat, like instead of being straight up and down to be in tune, if it was sort of all going to the left, like the higher you go, the flatter it gets, then you sync the reed and it'll bring that into a straight line. Or if you go, wow, the high A is sharp and the high G sharp and everything is sort of, the higher you go up on the scale, the sharper it gets, then you raise the reed. That's how that works. But if it looks pretty good and it's sort of more or less vertical, but you have some notes on either side, that's where you move the tape individually. I want to show you, I've got a different video here that I want to show you about just a close-up of the tape on my chanter here. And I'll show you how I change tape. I got a cool trick for you here. All right, so here's a close-up of this actual chanter that I was playing. So you can see, you know, different amounts of tape. So I don't usually use yellow tape, but I used it for this demonstration. So to change your tape and keep it in the same spot, you use a marker piece. So that's what this yellow tape is. I just put another piece on there that lines up with my current piece of tape. Line it up. I think in carpentry, they call it like sistering a joist or something. You just line it up right next to it. Okay, perfect. Then I can take off the piece that had on there. Easy. And just for fun, green tape, just to show you. Now, I like a really, really long piece of tape because I don't want anything to move around. I don't want a short piece of tape that's going to slide around. I want maximum adherence. So it's like a bear hug that goes around both sides of the hole as far as it can go. So I start on the side of the hole. I go all the way around the back, so I get a maximum tail length over the hole, lining it up perfectly with my marker piece. Getting it as perfect as I can. And then all the way back around to the other side. And then trim it off. Boom, beautiful. New piece of tape in the exact same spot, and take off my marker piece, and then I'm good to go. Boom. So I don't usually use yellow and green tape, but I thought that makes it for a better visual there. Okay, now let's go back to our tuning process with the tuner. So where was that? 14 something. I'll just skip ahead here. So you can get super picky here, but that's the idea. You don't have to have a good ear, although your ear is going to get really good if you use a tuner. That is how I really refined my ear for pitches of individual notes and for drone tuning, was through using a tuner. And there's some research that suggests that people who have perfect pitch, that early in their life, they were exposed to well-tuned instruments. And I think the same thing goes here, which is if you are around bagpipes that sound really good, and that can be your bagpipe because you've been using a tuner, if you are around that, you will develop your ear. You will become that person who can go, oh yeah, sharp D, or yeah, flat low G. I used to think that that was magic. How can you tell? But if you've been around well-tuned bagpipes and you've been playing around with this tuner and really getting yourself dialed in, you're going to get more skilled and more confident. So we're going to keep going here. I understand if you need to drop off at 1, I'm going to keep going for a few more minutes here, and we'll answer some of your questions. But what I want to talk about is just a summary here, which is The skills you got to get good at are moving your drones up and down just to get comfortable with that movement. You have to get comfortable with matching your bass to your outside tenor. Then you have to get comfortable with that two-step process of moving the outside and matching the bass to find your low A. If you can do that, you can tune your drones well on your own. Can I move that outside tenor based on my guess? Can I match my bass drone and find that low A? Then you bring in your middle tenor, you're easy. For tuning the chanter, it's getting your drones in tune first and then using your ear to find the individual notes on the chanter that need to be adjusted with tape, or finding that there's a range of notes on the top hand that are sharp or flat, and then you sync the reed or raise the reed. But even the best pipers out there do a lot. It's a lot of trial and error and adjusting and listening and adjusting and going back and trying the other direction. If you want to speed up that process, get that Braw Bagpipe Tuner app, get the microphone, and then there's no guessing. So I love it. Every time I play at home, I have this thing hooked up and I'm just working on my tuning all the time. I'll play through a whole P-Brock, and at the end, I might be thinking, yeah, my high G was just maybe a little bit flat. And then I check out the tuner. I don't even look at the tuner till I'm done and go, yep, it was a little bit flat, and just take a little bit off. I want to answer questions here, but I want to give you guys I promised a couple of special offers for you guys for coming in today to help you get going with your tuning. So the first one is, I'm going to give you a coupon code for 20% off everything at my shop. Don't leave. I'm going to get past this sales pitch thing first and then answer questions. But we'll do 20% off anything at my shop that's related to tuning. So the mic, tone protectors, my tuning toolkit, bagpipe gauge, all that stuff. I'll send you an email with all this information later today, but it is coupon code Tune Up. And that gets you 20% off all my goodies at the shop. Spend $100 or more, get 20% off. The other one is, if you like this thing, I love doing these online classes. You may have noticed I'm an extreme extrovert. I love being with people. I love being with you guys on Zoom. It gives me, I love sharing what I've learned and helping people find more meaning and progress in their piping. So if you like this Zoom format, I do these almost every week for members of my inner circle. I've been doing these, I think, since 2020. Hundreds of these videos, classes, they're all recorded, they're all saved. You can watch them. It includes a lesson library with hundreds of lessons on every piping topic, exercises, tunes, product demonstrations, all the big topics of piping, technique, musical expression, tuning, maintenance, all that stuff. People are dropping off like flies. I get it. But if you want to join my inner circle, $75 off, coupon code Join Up. So I will email you all these. But just check it out. And if you have any questions about anything, email me. This is my job. This is my passion. This is what I do full time, helping you figure these questions out. Okay, I'm going to look through the chat here and answer some questions. Somebody asked, where do you put the microphone? I put it on the bottom of the chanter, so that it's between the chanter and my body, right here. Doesn't need to be below, just behind. I find that that's a perfect spot that gets a good reading. If you're playing in a pipe band or a noisy environment, imagine if you put your ear right behind your chanter in front of your body. That's a good spot to get a great reading off the chanter. For the drones, I just clip it on the top of the drone and put it so it's like maybe, ½ inch from the drone. Works great. Let's see here. Somebody had a question about how do you train your ear, especially to hear the beats on the drones. Here's a great thing. I didn't put it in my video, but here's something fun that you can practice. Stopper up your chanter stock, so no chanter, and plug off your bass drone. You can either tap it off or cork it if you got a stopper for the top of your bass drone. Just have your two tenors going. And just practice moving that middle tenor to get it in and out of tune with the outside tenor. Now, that's not a step that we do in the two-drone tuning process. We do the bass instead of the middle tenor, but those two tenors are identical, so you will really hear it. It'll be super obvious when they're in tune and when they're out of tune, because they're supposed to have an identical sound. So what you want to do, just practice doing that and practice bringing it into tune. And when you think it's perfect, keep going. And we think it's even better, keep going. And at some point, it's going to get worse and then come back. So just practice repeating that process over and over of the matching that tenor to the other tenor. The other thing, just as people, I know you have to go, we've gone over time. If you can stick around, great. I will email out a summary of what we went over today and a link to watch this. So if you want to watch the recording again, I missed the first couple minutes, but the rest of it we recorded. So then the other thing to practice is the first step of the 2-drone method, which is cork the middle tenor and just practice matching that bass drone to the outside tenor. That is one of the trickier skills in drone tuning because the bass is an octave lower than the tenor, so it's not quite as obvious as 2 tenors. It just takes a little bit more practice to hear. The additional challenge is that for a lot of sets of bagpipes, the bass drone is not as steady, it's not as stable as the tenors. So any little pressure fluctuations that you have in your blowing, it makes that bass drum move around a little bit. So you might feel like, I think it's in tune, but it doesn't quite sound in tune. But that could be that it's just moving around because of your pressure. So that's something to work on. See if there's something that you can optimize with your drone reads. Maybe there's something you can improve with the moisture control system to improve the steadiness. And maybe you just got to work on your steady blowing. I think, you know, the absolute best of the best in terms of getting that a top quality world-class sound. Yes, it's tuning. Yes, it's setup, but the foundation of it is steady blowing. So that's something to work on. Okay. What other questions do we have here? So a question about how would you set up a pipe band? So, or how would you apply these methods to a pipe band? So the way that the pipe band works is that, well, first of all, what is the one key word, principle, goal that we are striving for in pipe band? It's one word. It's my opinion, but there's one thing: unison. That's what we're going for. Unison of playing and unison of tone. And to get all 9 notes and 3 drones times X many bagpipers, we want to get those all perfectly synced up together. We need to pick the pitch that we're going to set the band up to. Maybe you know that we're always at a certain pitch, and you just use your tuner and you just type it in. You can go just manually and just go, yep, 482, enter, and go. Another way would be to figure out who in the band is going to be the master. So who's going to set the pitch for everybody? Maybe it's the pipe major. Maybe it's someone who has a consistently great sound from week to week. And you know that, oh, we're going to go with Mike here. Mike's always got a great tone. We're going to start with him. Get a measurement off that person's low A, and then you use that pitch for everybody. So it could be a process of somebody walking around with the app, tuning all the drones. Could be somebody using the InTune mic and going around and checking all the chanters. But essentially what you want to do is the same process that an individual piper would do, but in a slightly different sort of system, because you want to get all the drones together to that exact same number. And then you want to get all the chanters dialed in using tape and moving things around. So you're kind of hitting a moving target. Because, you know, there's a lot of moving parts, and often you're running out of time because you got to go into that performance or that competition, and you're in challenging weather conditions. So you're really trying to do things as quickly as possible, as accurately as possible, in the time that you have allotted. So that is one reason that every pipe band I've ever seen in the world, as long as I've been around, uses a tuner for the drones, for sure. Because the band can be playing and someone can be walking around and doing the drones. With this InTune mic and these new tuners like the Braw Bagpipe Tuner, you're seeing more and more bands using the tuners for the chanters as well. The band that I teach here, almost everybody's got set up with this technology. So everybody's got their InTune mic, everyone's got their phone with the app out in front of them, and it's really, really easy to get that band tuned up super quick and dialed in. Okay, a couple more questions here. Yeah, so there's some questions about these different environments. It's just part of the deal with playing bagpipes is that you're going to be playing outdoors where it sounds great, but the temperature is not always going to be what you want it to be. Might be kind of cold, might be hot. So trying to, let's see, I guess this is a really kind of a big topic, but one of the things that you want to be aware of is that the pitch is going to change as you play. So one of the things that you want to figure out, whether you're getting ready as a soloist or you're playing with a band, which is how long do I need to warm up before things sort of stabilize? So if you were to graph the pitch of your low A as you play, it's going to start out low and it's going to come up and it's going to keep going up and then it's going to stop coming up so fast and then it's going to level off. That's if you have a good read and you're, reasonable moisture control and all that. So you want to figure out, well, how long does it take for my pipes to warm up? Maybe it's 10 minutes, maybe it's 20. I know some top world-class soloists who will play like 30 minutes, 45 minutes minimum. They just really want it to be super dialed in and stable. So you figure out how long that's going to take. And then you kind of just want to watch that you don't underplay, meaning that you have to go out and compete before they're fully warmed up and stabilized. And you also don't want to overplay. And that would be you've played for too long and your chanter reed starts to get wet, or you're dealing with fatigue issues. So that's what you want to figure out, kind of what's your the window there where things are going to be optimized. So great. All right. Let's go 5 more minutes and then we'll let everybody get on with their day here. If you have any last questions, go ahead and pop them in the chat here. Now's the perfect time. Gavin, you want to know how to make your drone reeds gurgle? Yeah, well, I think that has to do with the, so your drone reeds actually make 3 sounds. Well, 3 different levels. When there's no pressure in the bag, they don't make any sound. When there's a minimum amount of pressure, they make the first tone. And then when your chanter reed kicks in, they also kick into that second tone. Every good drone reed should have those 2 tones. I have a whole video on my YouTube channel about drone reeds, and I got a lot of great feedback from that because I basically show a test for how if you mouth blow on your drone reed to test that your drone reed and your drone are healthy and functioning together. And if you only get 1 tone, something's not working. If you get 2 tones and the second tone is really loud and brash compared to the first one, it's not working. You want 2 tones and you want that second tone to be more focused. I think what you're asking about is that sort of, you can get this gurgle or fluttering sound, which is when it's in between the first tone and the second tone. And that to me is just a matter of making sure that when you're striking in at the right pressure. And also just not all drone reeds do that. There's certain synthetic drone reeds now that don't have that gurgle. I kind of like it. My easy drones do it. It's not something I worry about or strive for. Used to be a cool thing with cane drone reeds to get that kind of gurgling sound. Okay, great. Yeah, so good question from Dixie about drone tuning on the bass. The bass drone, you're only moving the bottom section. Your tenor drones just have 2 sections. The bass has 3. You don't use the top section. It's just the top 2 are connected up there, but all the tuning is happening on the bottom. That's great. Let's see what else we got here. All right. Yep, and the tuner will work for any type of pipe, small pipes, bellows pipes. They work great. Shuttle pipes. Cool. Another tuner that I really like a lot and I use, in addition to the Braw tuner, is called the Tonal Energy, Tonal, Tonal Energy Tuner. And it's very inexpensive. I don't know if it's $5 or $10, but it's absolutely worth every penny. And the tonal energy just has just different ways that you can display. It does not have the 9 notes that the Braw tuner has, but it is really great for tuning drones because it has lots of different ways that you can display the sound. And one of them is this kind of line thing. So you can see when you're tuning a drone, you can see if it's in or out of tune, but you can also see how stable it is. So I'll be tuning some people's drones and it's just a flat line, and then I tune it and it goes perfectly in tune. Other people, when I'm tuning their drones, it's sort of moving around. So it's a visual display of the changing pitch. Well, why would a drone be changing pitch if you're not tuning it? Well, that would just be instability, probably through blowing, probably through unsteady blowing. So that's something to look at. Tonal Energy, TE tuner. Really, really cool. All right. Carolyn's asking about the tone protector. So what the tone protector does is, so this is it's a Chanter cap with a digital readout on the front, and it has a humidity. It's supposed to be 84%. There it is, 84%. So what it does is it keeps your reed at the right humidity level. So I also have my tone protector reed case. Keep them in there. So what that does is it speeds up the tuning process because your reed doesn't change its pitch as much when you play. In the old days, this is what I did for like 25 years, was you pull your reed out of its plastic Chanter cap that has a hole in it, so your reed is completely dried out, and then you lick the reed, and now it's soaking wet, so you've shocked this little piece of cane with a bunch of spit. It's been dry all day or for days. Now you shocked it with a bunch of spit and it's soaking it up and changing. And then it's super flat and gross sounding. And then you pinch it to compensate for the flatness. And then you put it in and it's like completely bonkers. And it takes you a long time for it to restabilize. I remember talking to some of my piper friends in Scotland about what they would do with their reeds. That Alistair Gillis was one of my mentors, and he was famous for, he did nothing to his reed ever. I'd say like, oh, what kind of reed are you playing? And he's like, he wouldn't even remember because he never even took it out of the bag. And he would never lick it. He would never pinch it. He would never do anything. But what allowed him to do that was he lived in a very humid place in Scotland, and he played his pipes for like an hour a day minimum. So the reed never had a chance to dry out. If you live in another place that isn't as humid, your reed is going to dry out as soon as you stop playing. So that's what the tone protector was invented for, is that when you're done playing, you put the cap on, and then it keeps it at a precisely chosen and stable and elevated humidity level. And then what we found out is that a lot of the hassles that pipers have had with tuning and reed adjustments and instability in the Chanter reed and all these nightmares that we all experienced, you can eliminate a huge amount of that just by storing the reed in the right humidity level. So it's like a perfect little environment in here so that when you go to play it, it's not overly dry, it's not overly wet, you don't have to do anything to it, and it's good. So great question, Carolyn. Okay, a couple more messages down here and then we will call it a day. I know I said 1:15, but we'll just go there. Okay. So last one, does the strength of the reed affect the sound or just how easy or difficult it is to blow? Yeah, the sound, so the reason that you can't have a bagpipe reed that is like super, 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 super easy is that it just won't create the sound that we want. So if you use the bagpipe gauge, straight up and down is 30 inches of water. And most people who use the gauge, I write at 30. Very few people are much higher than 35 or lower than 25, because that's kind of the sweet spot where the reed is going to be vibrating properly with this Chanter to make the sound that you want. So you can make it a little bit easier, you can make it a little bit harder. It used to be when I was coming up in piping, people said, you can't have a good sound unless you have a hard reed. And that is not true. It is certainly not true today. There are great reeds on the market, which are super efficient, where they really have a great projecting sound that is stable, that's easy to tune, and these reeds will last a long time. So it's just the marketplace of, well, most bagpipe products, there's a much bigger market now, and with online e-commerce and stuff, small businesses can become successful. And that we've certainly seen that in the bagpipe cane chanter reed market, where there's a lot of options out there. And these reed makers, they're trying to make a perfect reed. So Adrian Melvin makes a reed for me that I call the foundation reed. I love these reeds. I wish I would have had these reeds, decades ago, just because they're efficient. They have a great sound, easy to play. And, if you've ever hung around a top piper, and most of you probably haven't had this experience, but if I'm hanging around a top piper, and if there's any possible way that I can play their bagpipes, I will, I'd love to do it. Like I've been at, Kaylee's or whatever, and somebody's playing a tune and they go, here, take my pipes, play a tune. I always jump at that chance because I want to feel what their pipes feel like. And most of the time when they hand you their pipes, they go, oh, my pipes are really easy. My pipes are really easy. Like, don't make fun of me. And you find that this is an amazing sound. And these top bagpipers today, they are making the best sounding bagpipes that anyone has ever made. Like if you think about Callum Beaumont, these other top players today, it's like nobody's ever had a bagpipe that sounds as good as their bagpipes sound right now. And they're using these modern reeds. They're using the synthetic bags with the moisture control systems. Most of them are using my tone protector. So, and their pipes are not hard. So a super airtight setup, super efficient, getting a good modern bagpipe chanter like the Infinity Chanter, puts out a lot of sound. It's designed to be comfortable to play and to really put out that cracking bright sound without a lot of effort. So that's a whole other topic. Check out some of the other videos on my website. I go into depth on all these different topics, bag sizes and the Infinity Chanter and pipe chanter reeds and adjusting reeds and poking reeds and moisture control and all that stuff. And check out my YouTube channel at bagpipelessons.com is the name of the YouTube channel. So I think we'll wrap it up here. I've gone 20 minutes over, but we had a lot of stuff to cover. Thanks everybody for hanging in there. And how many people are still on the call? 69. Woohoo! Thanks everybody. I'm going to email, as soon as I get off here, I'm going to get the recording from Zoom and get the summary, put together a summary for you and email this out to you. But you can start, just check these out right now. Put these up one more time. So at the shop, what does it say? 20% off, $100 or more. Use the coupon code TUNEUP. It only works on things that aren't on sale. So if you have another coupon code or if stuff's on sale, it's not going to work for that. Email me if you have any questions. No problem. I get a lot of emails every day. I'll be happy to receive yours. And the other one is if you like what you got today, check out my inner circle. That's bagpipelessons.com/membership and use the coupon code JOINUP. Get $75 off. All my online courses, Bagpipe Essentials Masterclass, Secrets of Drone Tuning, my bagpipe beginner class called Learn the Pipes. All 70 of my tune lesson downloads. You get a PDF sheet music, a recorded lesson. And if you sign up for a year with the deal, you get a one-on-one session with me and we will, it's called a goal setting session and we'll get to meet one-on-one and I'll set you on a path and how to get the best out of the membership. So this has been super fun. Thanks everybody. Please email me if you have any questions. And gosh, this was really fun. I had no idea how many would show up and we'll get the final tally and look for that email, hopefully later today. I'm doing an inner circle session in about 40 minutes with my members and it's called Member Videos. And people record tunes, they record practice chanter and pipes and we watch them together and do feedback that way. And some of my inner circle members are here. I got a special deal for you too. I didn't forget about you. If you feel left out because of this inner circle membership deal, send me a message and I got something special for you guys too. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Have a great week. Have a great piping season. And we'll send me your feedback. And we'll do this again and hope to see you on the inner circle. See everybody. Mahalo.